Hi, and welcome to Safe Space. I'm your host, the artistic psychologist. This podcast aims to end the stigma surrounding mental health, one conversation at a time. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy. Today I have someone special on the show, my dad. Hi, Dad.
Hi, cool.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Okay. Are you excited to be here? Nervous? Confused?
All those.
Okay, sawa. So Dad lost his brother last year in May, and he agreed to come on the show and talk about his journey grieving his late brother. Could you tell us a little bit about your brother? How would you describe him?
My brother Tony was very close to me, and he was like almost part of me because we'll do so many things together. And was my confidant. I'll send him, I will instruct him, and he always carry my instructions to the letter. So he's somebody that you could say that you could trust and rely on almost 100%. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any favorite memories you had with him that you would like to share?
Yeah, many memories from the very beginning when he was working at the Generation Grill, when I'd just come from India. And I found him in Nairobi. He's the one now who will introduce me to some places in Nairobi, to some things. And after that, because we are working in different places, then many years later, when I joined politics, I brought him in to be my personal assistant, and which job he took very seriously. And he used to, I could call him anytime, even at night. If something is happening anywhere and I call him, he'll be ready to go and attend to it. So there are many things that I can say. Sometimes we could have just come and sit and talk and laugh and all those things. You'll find that at times we are like, I'm his boss. At times we are just brothers. Another time, yeah, we're friends and all that.
Okay. I think many people don't know Uncle Tony was your half brother. Yeah. And from the way, even just the way you described him, it's very clear that the two of you were close. And I think many people don't expect to be close to their half siblings or to relate well to them. But you and Uncle Tony seem to be an exception. How is it that you think you managed to have such a relationship with him?
I think Tony was a very easygoing person. You know, he'll will make friends very easily. And he identified more with us, from my mother's house than most of his really siblings. And in fact, at some time, he used to be called as our last born in my mother's house. And even at home, you'll go and they'll say they're calling him last born, and he was very happy about it. And that's how he ended up with my brother Moses, who took him to and made him a manager of his restaurant. And then after that, he came to work with me. So it was sometimes not many people knew that he was even my brother. Even when we were in Parliament, he will present himself as my assistant, and he will never tell people that he is my brother. He comes in and attends to things with officialdom. You know, you cannot even say this is my brother. You know, my brothers can become sometimes very stubborn, and he thinks you're just a brother and you cannot tell him anything. But Tony was ready for anything. You will send him, he will go. And he will, when he comes where I'm seated with the other people, he will not come and sit there. He will excuse himself and sit aside, showing the respect he had for me. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's fair to say that Uncle Tony passed away suddenly. He was sick, but only for what seemed like a moment. So it's like 1 minute he was there and the next he was gone. How was that for you, receiving the news that your brother had passed away all of a sudden?
It was very difficult because, one, I remember we had worked with him on, I think it was on a Friday. Then the following day, Saturday, we were supposed to go somewhere with him. So I was calling him. He used to go ahead and they used to call him advance team because he will go. I call him. I just called him in the morning. I told him, Tony, can you go ahead, organize security and all this because I'm coming to this place. Then he calls me, but he tells me, no, I'm not feeling well, but I can call the security team and the others to just go ahead and you'll find them there. When I'm going to see a doctor, when I'm done, I will join you. Then later on, when I call him, because he didn't come, I call him, he tells me he has been admitted. I asked him what is the problem. He says they're still observing, they don't know what it is. And then that was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, no change. Then on Monday, he sends me a picture. He's on oxygen. I asked him, where are you? He was in a clinic in Ngara. Then I told him, can you be transferred to Aga Khan Hospital? Then he went to Aga Khan. Then 2 days later, then it was no more. It was so certain that you could not comprehend exactly what happened. And up to now, we have no idea what caused his death. Because, they could not allow us to do postmortem. They said it was COVID. Everybody around him was negative. So we don't even know what really caused his death.
Do you remember the day he died, receiving the news? How was that for you?
I was in the middle of a function. And then his wife calls me. No, my sister Assumpta calls me. And she says, Tony is in a coma. Then within a few minutes, he calls me and says, Tony has died. And after that, the wife calls me and tells me, Tony, they are trying to resuscitate him, but he's not responding. So, and then later on they say, they've confirmed Tony is dead. Things were happening like that. My most difficult moment was, how was I going to break this news to our father? My father is 92 years old. And it was going to be very, very difficult. So I called my brother Moses. I asked him where he was. He told me he was in Bungoma. Then I told him to go home and be with our father and break the news to him when they're together. You should not call him on phone. That is how he managed to do. And then it was difficult because his mother was also in hospital. That news could not reach her because if they did, maybe could have killed her also. So it was not very easy. It was not very easy. It was very difficult. And then, it was a very unusual time. COVID, anything that happened around that time, you become a suspect of COVID. They will take you to quarantine and all that. Remember, even the quarantine, his wife and his children, they could not go and attend the burial. At home, the quarantine, the two sisters, just on suspicion that it come from Nairobi. And so they were also not there at the burial. So it was a very hard time to break the news. And I was also just in a function. I didn't know whether to tell these people to go away or to continue with the function after I received the news. But I braved on. We finished the function, and then I had to go now to go and attend to the rest of those things of the funeral.
You mentioned that we had just gotten into the beginning stages of the pandemic, at least in Kenya. And of course, there was a lot of confusion at that time. How did the pandemic affect your grieving process in any way? Did it affect it maybe in a positive way, in a negative way?
It was very negative because we were prevented from doing anything ourselves, including even moving the body from Aga Khan hospital to the mortuary. They had to do it through the ministry. We had to get all the orders, everything from the ministry. Then they had to go and now embalm the body, remove the body from Aga Khan to Montezuma. Actually, they were supposed to go and bury him almost immediately, but we requested, and they agreed that they allow us time to prepare for the burial. But again, that would never happen because they came and took over everything. They did everything. They kept us away from what they were doing, which is very unusual in our culture, that we treat people who have passed on with a lot of respect. We bury them with a very honorable way, in a very honorable way. But this is the time that we had no control of anything. We stood there and watched strangers came and did the funeral, buried him. They could not even allow the church to say the service. They had to do a service a day before. So it was, this pandemic was really a pain in everybody's memory. I think sometimes I don't know anything to remember. I don't know anything to remember that scenario. It was terrible. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's fair. For many people, the pandemic has come and really thrown everything upside down because the traditions and the cultures we're used to following, all of a sudden, we're being prevented from following them. And for many people, that makes it harder to grieve or deal with whatever hard things life is throwing our way. And we just have to find other ways to cope and do what we're used to doing. Did you feel any guilt or anger because you were able to attend the funeral, but maybe his wife couldn't attend, some of his siblings could not attend the funeral?
Yeah, we felt very, very sad that some members of the family are denied access. Even us, when we were there was even a lot of drama. Some of these bloggers who takes pictures of the aircraft that brought the body, and of course wanted to write a headline that I've been taken to quarantine because I was close to Tony and all that. So everywhere it was like all over the media, the MP of Westlands has been taken to quarantine, and people started panicking. It was something that was not very good. I kept on saying I'm here, but they thought it was not true because he captured the plane that was leaving the plane that had brought Tony's body, and they say it's me now being taken to quarantine after that. And at home I was fearing for our father, because I thought this old man will not handle this situation. But we thank God he composed himself, he maintained the composure, and yeah, he survived. And again, there was also tension in the family because people could not understand why. Because myself and my brother Moses were like, you people, you are people in government. Why can't you tell the government to allow us to do the funeral in a proper way? But that time there was, even if it was the president, I'm sure it would have just been done the same way, because those protocols had to be observed. And I believe at the end of the day, I think we were overdoing it, because in other countries, people are being allowed to even access the bodies and go and bury, because once the body has been embalmed, there's nothing can come out of it. Nothing can infect anybody. But here, I think it was maybe the fear of the unknown. It caused a lot of panic in the sector, and also scared the whole population. Even in the village, when they brought the body, so many people turned up and wanted to attend the funeral. And now they were just staying on the fence, watching from a distance. They could allow only less than 100 people to be inside the home. So it was something that really devastated all of us at home. And we were just fearing for all the parents, because this is a young person, and it's always not good. It's not difficult. It's very difficult to handle loss of life, even if it is somebody who is very old. But here is a young man and all that. And after that, I kept on thinking, Tony is coming back. Every morning I wake up, I thought he's around. I'll see him. That was it. Yeah.
You had mentioned the bloggers. Yeah, you're a public figure, and because of that, a lot of private matters in your life end up being a collective, almost public matter. How would you say this affected your grieving process? Did you feel like it was almost an invasion of privacy? Like you were not given the privacy you needed to grieve your brother?
Yeah, there was, we were denied our rights to grieve and mourn and go and give our brother a decent burial. Again, the people who are battling these rumors, they were like, this person has died of COVID, and all these people around him. I had to take, even my office, everybody to go and test. And it was just, everybody was negative. I just kept on thinking, what really is. And we told those guys, if Donny died of COVID, then he got it from the hospital, but not from outside. Because from outside, there was nothing. Whatever he was ailing him, we still don't know. Because he did not show any signs of being sick. And you never know, but sometimes maybe people are sick, but they just carry on with life. But he never even told me, he never shared me his health problems. But the other thing I want to say is that the people of Westlands constituency, they were very supportive. They turned up. They were coming in droves to sign the condolence book, contributed immensely towards the funeral, and kept on contributing. I remember I had to hand over a lot of money to the widow after the burial of the money they had collected from the constituency, because Tony was like my shadow. Every time, if they don't see me and they sit on, they know whatever is happening is going to be okay. So he was always, people knew him, people relied on him, and people will trust him that anything they tell him, it will reach me. That is how much he was held in very high esteem in the constituency. And even in Parliament, people, his colleagues in Parliament and all that, they were really shocked, especially in the committee that I serve in, because we were with him in the committee, and then the following week they say that Tony is passed on. Even the people in the committee who didn't know that he was my brother, they were shocked to see that this young man who used to come and just stand there like my PA without, and then they say it was my brother. I said yes, it was my brother. And yeah, it denied us a lot of our fundamental rights. We could not do what we could do, but well, I guess that is how it was supposed to be. Sometimes, some things you have no control over, and we have just to accept.
I think it's a very interesting and beautiful thing, because for many of us, we would assume that because someone is a public figure, it will come with a lot of negativity. But clearly there was also the positive, the support from the constituency, the contribution. And when things like this happen, it's the support we get is very, very important. It's what helps us get through, not just from our family and people who are close to us, but just generally from the community. And it's just encouraging to hear that that support came in large numbers. What or who has been helping you through this journey of grieving Uncle Tony?
I think we just had just to find a way to manage it through the family, and even I could not, even at my office, I had no courage to replace him. I could not replace him. Up to now, I did not replace him. I just told those who are working in the office just to do that role that Tony used to do. But I guess there was nobody who could fit that role that Tony used to play. So it was not easy. It was difficult. It is still hard. Even the place, the desk where I used to sit, I think we could not do anything about it. I just called the wife to come and open it and see if there's anything that she needs to carry away, so that she can carry away and go and maybe keep for their own memory or something like that. But it was, for me, it was, sometimes I wished, I wish I was not even in the public life. I could have done something maybe differently. But here now, everything is looking at you. I had even to open up and speak about it, because, when people keep on talking behind and are not saying what they want to say openly, just come out and say, this is how it was, that is how we did, and we are not happy the way things happened, but at the end of the day, we accept it because it has come, it has passed, it's gone, we can never reverse it. Yeah, and that was really the situation within the prevailing circumstances. So it was not something that anybody could have control over. I remember even the president, President Uhuru, is the one even who offered the aircraft that transported Tony's body. And the minister for health, the CS, he called me and told me that I should go and check for checkup, and he even advised me not to go for the funeral, but I said I'll go because I could not miss all this. We have been denied so many things, but this one I must go. So I had to go.
Is there anything you wish you had told Uncle Tony before he passed away, or that you had done with him, perhaps?
If sometimes, if we knew that somebody's going to die, maybe we would have said something that if there was anything that we had done that we did not like, maybe we'll have corrected. If there was something that we had not done well, maybe we'll have changed the way we do it, and we'll have maybe shared our last moments and fears and all that. But here is something that came suddenly without any notice. You know, a person who has not been sick for a period of time where you say, this person is not going to make it. But here's today. In fact, the following, I remember the day before he died, I called because they could not allow us to go and see him. I called a doctor, and he told me that they're just observing his heart because it's very erratic. It's rising. Sometimes it goes up very high. Sometimes it comes very low. So they were just observing to try to stabilize. They didn't know what was causing it. So I'm sure if there was something to say to him, maybe I'll have told him, my brother, let us pray together and let us seek God's forgiveness so that you go in peace. And I'm sure wherever he is, he must have gone in peace because he must have just done his own bit with his God. And there's nothing as a family could have done because we had no chance to even go and see him on his sick bed. We had no chance to do that. So it is, I think Tony's death is still very mysterious. It's very mysterious, and we will never, I think for a long time, we will never overcome it. It was very, very mysterious. There are people who have misunderstood, and some even, I remember somebody who told me that Tony was beaten by some people and caused him some injury which was not visible, but that is what caused his death. I tried to find a way, try to even investigate through the people he socialized or interacted with. Nobody had an idea of what this person was talking about. So, people can imagine things, and I felt that this is something that this person was just imagining and wanted just to say something about what could have caused his death. But it is something that nobody can tell, because if they did post-mortem, maybe we would have known the cause of death, what could have caused him. I don't know. Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that Uncle Tony was quite a mysterious man, and he also passed away in mystery. So,
yes.
Yeah, it was quite like him.
He knew his way around. There's nothing you send Tony to and he doesn't know. He will somehow know some contact somewhere, whether it is police, whether it is whoever. He had some very good memory of things. And I remember when we go somewhere and I just say, when people want to ask for my telephone, I tell them to take Tony's number, and he will for sure remember them. And one day he'll come and remind me, you see, this person is the one we met at this particular place. You remember you promised him to do ABCD for him. Then we will remember, then we will do whatever we are supposed to do. Yeah, that is how reliable he was with information and with his memory. Yeah, and remember, if you wanted anything in town, whichever corner of Nairobi, he will certainly tell you where to find these things. Yeah.
That's so true. Okay. Is there anything you feel is giving you joy, comfort, or hope at the moment?
Sometimes the comfort in death is that we believe that the person will no longer suffer. He has rested. He's at peace with his maker. And we believe that whatever he is well off. And the rest of the things will take care of themselves. We will manage where we can, and I've always said that God has given us a chance to be something else, and we continue. Sometimes that's how it comes. The people you think are so close to you can just disappear, and then you see how you can manage it, and that's how we can manage. You say death sometimes robs us something very precious, but we learn from the death of Jesus that you can still rise again, and there's a chance that we will meet again somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a great place to wrap up. Thanks, Dad, for doing this with me. Thanks for sharing your journey and your story. I'm sure it will give somebody some comfort and some hope out there.
Okay.
That's all for this episode. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.